Okay, friends, let's look at example 2 here. Pacific Power Bill 1134 in charges that don't depend on the amount of electricity I used, and then $0.093 or 9.3 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, and the kilowatt hour is a weird unit. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I will also include a video if you want to watch it, if you're interested in what a kilowatt hour actually is. I'll show you a video I made for Hal, who teaches geology here at COCC. I just made it for him a couple months ago. I can include that in your notes. Write an equation in words first, then define variables. Okay, so there are two kinds of costs in a thing like a power bill, or a water bill, or a gas bill, or your tuition bill. There's another example. There are things that are, well, there's a couple different words for them. I like to call them one-time costs. So on a bill, there's a cost that's there regardless of whatever else you're using in the bill. And then there are recurring costs. Now, that's kind of what I call them. Business calls them something different. They call these fixed costs, or a fixed cost. And they call this one a variable cost. So if you look at your tuition bill at COCC, for example, I take a class here called Total Fit with the wonderful Jump Up Jenny Cruikshank. And when you look at your tuition bill, you've got, for example, a technology fee. And you've got a Mazama lab fee if you take a Mazama class. And then you've got your tuition fee. So some of those fees are just a flat number that the school adds on. Like the Mazama fee is $20 for the term. $20. That's it. But tuition, for an in-district tuition, it's, as I sit here making this video, I believe it's like $113 per credit. So the variable cost is like tuition. The more credits you take, the more this variable cost is going to be. So if you take one credit, it's $113. If you take 2 credits, it's $226. If you take 4 credits, it's $452, if I'm doing that in my head right. The Mazama fee is $20. It's $20 if you take 1 credit. It's $20 if you take 3 credits. It's $20 if you take 21 credits. It's $20. So power bills work the same way. There's a component to it that is the flat fee. And these companies, their administrative costs, they usually call them. That's that $11.34. That's that fixed cost, $11.34. I'm going to put over here power bill amount. Power bill amount. And this is a monthly amount, right? Is that correct? It doesn't say, but usually they're monthly. Equals. Okay, so you're going to pay that $11.34. Even if you never turn a single thing on in the house, it's going to be $11.34. That's it. Now, you're also charged, and this is where Becky told us, 9.3 cents per kilowatt hour used. So that's 9.3 cents per kilowatt hour. Kilowatt hour. The per, now, using dimensional analysis, because it never goes away, this power bill amount needs to be in dollars. Has to be in dollars. This is already dollars. Yes. This is not just dollars. It's dollars per kilowatt hours. So dimensional analysis says we have to multiply that by the number of kilowatt hours that we use. So this is basically the equation. You're going to pay a flat fee of $11.34, fixed cost, one-time cost. Then there's a variable cost, a recurring cost. It recurs, or it varies, because this varies. The number of kilowatt hours you use varies. So this is kind of in words, as Becky said. Write it in words and then define variables. So let's define variables. Power bill amount. Let's just call that A for amount. And that's going to be in dollars. Okay? That number is legit. And I like the fact that it's got dollar signs on it because it should have units. Okay, 1134 plus Now, I'm not going to write the per kilowatt hour. I did this previously too. I'm just going to have the dollar amount. It's going to be 9.3 cents times how many kilowatt hours. Let's call that K for kilowatt hours. I think that's a pretty good equation. Okay, this is implied that it's per hour because you're multiplying it by hours, and that cancels off the kilowatt hours, and you're left with just what number of hours times the 0.093. Okay, there we go. That's that. First question. Suppose we use 764 kilowatt hours. We're going to need technology to do this one, so I'm going to sit down and do it. Actually, I'll write on the board first, then we'll sit down and do the technology. So that means, where's my eraser? Here you are. All right, so that's going to be, okay, the amount we're going to get billed is going to be equal to 1134 plus 93 times 764. So I got to do this times this, add on the 1134, and that's going to be my power bill. Let me do that right quick. Let's see, we got here, we got, I can do the whole thing at once. 1134 plus 0.093 times 764. I get a electricity bill that month of, if I round it off, $82.39. $82.39. Let me double check the math, make sure I did it right. 1134. Yep. 0.093 times 764. Good. Good to go. All right. Next up, let's see. What other reasonable questions could we ask once we have this equation? I don't know. I honestly can't think of one. I can't even think of unreasonable questions. I'm just going to go ahead and skip over that one. It was just announced that Pacific Power has been granted a 15% rate increase. How will that change our equation? Rate increase. Okay, so now, what does rate mean? I think what that means, let me Google something real quick. I think that means the charge per kilowatt hour. Let me just look at something real quick. I want to look this up. It literally just says they're paying more per month. So the reason I'm checking this, dear friends, just so you know, I almost wish I was doing this in class with you. It'd be kind of fun to go down this rabbit hole with you. Okay. The question is, what is the rate? Is the rate the cost of power here per kilowatt hour? If that is the case, that means that would go up by 15%. If it's not that, is it just the fixed cost? Maybe. I don't know. The way it reads, though, because the couple news articles I just checked said that people are going to pay more on their bill per month. Well, this is their bill per month. This whole thing is their bill per month. So maybe what they're talking about, and again, we could dive into this more if you want to once we're together, maybe what they're saying is, this is the amount before the rate increase. The new one is going to be 1.15 times A. Check that out. Make sure you understand this. This is a decimal form of a percentage. We're going to increase A by 15%. That multiplies it by 1, which keeps it the same, and then adds an additional 0.15%. So really, the equation, we could actually just make it as simple as 1.15 times that. 1134 plus 93 cents times K. And what that'll do is it'll just increase. This is the original bill. and then this will increase it by 15%. So that's how I read this. Now, we'd have to, like I said, we could dive in longer. I could dive in more once we're together if you want to. But otherwise, I think that's a satisfactory answer. All right, read on to the next little bit.